Every single time you save a file or load up a game or ask an AI a question, you're leaning on some seriously powerful tech that's just humming away silently in the background. So today, let's pull back the curtain on one of the companies that builds these absolutely crucial, but, often invisible components that really make our digital lives tick.
I mean, we all know the big brand names, right? The ones stamped on our laptops and phones. But what about the companies that are actually building the core components inside? The parts that make everything work at lightning speed? Let's dig in and find out who's behind some of this amazing tech.
All right, so the company we're zooming in on today is Enginestar Technology. Now, they might not be a household name you hear all the time, but trust me, their impact is felt all across the digital world. So let's start with their core mission. And they don't mess around. Their mission is super clear and incredibly focused. It pretty much boils down to two main things: high-end AI services and high-speed memory. That sharp focus really defines everything they do, and it gives us a perfect roadmap for what we're about to explore.
Okay, so let's dig into that first part of their mission. When they say high-end AI service, what does that actually mean? Well, we're talking about the heavy-duty, industrial-strength computing power that drives so much of modern technology.
The easiest way to think about this side of their business is that they provide the brains for the whole operation. These are the powerful systems that are crunching massive calculations for AI, running all those cloud applications, and basically keeping data centers humming along 24/7. And here's the key thing to get. They're not just selling boxes of hardware. They actually offer AI computing as a service you can rent, right alongside the server products that form the backbone of these systems. It's all about providing that top-tier enterprise-level power whenever it's needed. Now for the second pillar of their business, high-speed memory. And this is where their technology gets a lot more personal, because it finds its way into devices you probably use every single day. Everything from your gaming PC to your portable hard drive. First up, let's talk about taking your data on the go. Enginestar makes a ton of portable storage solutions. The kind of drives you'd use for backing up your important files or moving huge projects from one computer to another. And even in just this one category, they've got a whole range. They make drives with that classic, familiar USB connector and also drives with the newer, much faster USB-C. This means they can cater to pretty much any device, whether you need maximum compatibility or just pure, raw speed.
Okay, now let's pop the hood and look inside the machine itself. Enginestar is a huge player in internal storage. These are the solid-state drives, the SSDs, that live inside your desktop or laptop, making them boot up in just a few seconds and launch apps instantly. And right here, you can see the sheer variety they produce. And this isn't just a list of acronyms. It really tells a story of technological evolution. They make everything from that classic 2.5-inch drive you'd find in older laptops, all the way to the much smaller mini SATA and the tiny little M2 drives that are designed for today's super-thin notebooks. They pretty much build a drive to fit any machine out there. But they're not just making the standard stuff. They also specialize in the top tier of performance storage. We're talking about the blazing fast drives that gamers, video editors, and other professionals absolutely need for their most demanding tasks. Their high-end NVMe product lines show this really clear progression in speed. They've got fast Gen 3 drives for sure, but the real horsepower comes from their Gen 4 products. Each new generation is a massive leap in how fast you can move data around, which means way less time waiting for games to load or for massive video files to transfer. And of course, no computer can work without RAM or, DRAM if you want to get technical. Enginestar produces these memory modules too. Just think of DRAM as your computer's short-term memory. It's the super fast workspace it uses for all the tasks it's doing right now. It's another one of those foundational pieces of any modern computer. Okay, so we know they make all this incredible technology, but how does it actually get into the products we buy off the shelf? Well, this brings us to their business model, which really is the key to understanding their invisible role in the whole industry. And this, to me, is where it gets really fascinating. You've probably used Enginestar's technology without ever seeing their name on the box. See, they primarily work behind the scenes, partnering with other big companies in two main ways. So the first way is through what's called ODM and OEM partnerships. Essentially, a major brand can go to Enginestar and hire them to design and manufacture, say, a solid-state drive. Then that brand just sells it with their own logo on it. So Enginestar is the engine, but another company gets to provide the shiny paint job. And secondly, they act as an IC agency. Now, IC just stands for integrated circuit, basically computer chips. So in this role, they're not just selling their own stuff, they're also acting as a distributor for other chip makers. This makes them this really convenient one-stop shop for companies that are building complex electronics.
So, we've seen who they are, what they build, and how they do business, but let's bring it all home. Why does a company like Enginestar actually matter to you in your day-to-day life? You know that high-performance NVMe SSD we saw earlier? Well, that's the thing that slashes those loading screens and gets you into the action faster. It's the tangible result of their focus on high-speed memory.
And remember their AI computing services? That hardware is what's powering the complex models that generate text, create images, and answer your most complex questions in just a heartbeat.
And really, at the end of the day, their server products and all those storage solutions are the bedrock of the internet as we know it. From the social media apps you scroll through to the cloud services where you store all your photos.
So, when you really think about it, companies like Enginestar are the true unsung heroes of our digital world, building the fundamental components that just make everything possible. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many of these invisible engines are quietly working all around you right now?